Well, all right. As the host, I say that's it for news. That took.
About an hour.
Yep.
Yep.
I think we might see you guys watching this video might see these in two parts.
Mm-hmm.
Possibly.
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 But anyways, that's a Simpsons reference.
Yep.
Where I'm going to explain a Simpsons reference before I go to the next thing, just so you guys know what I'm talking about here. In the episode where the Simpsons went to Itchy and Scratchy Land and they fought all those evil robots of Itchy and Scratchy, before they went to the actual Itchy and Scratchy Land, they were on a helicopter on the way there, and the helicopter pirate says, "Welcome to Itchy and Scratchy Land, where nothing can possibly go wrong." Possibly go wrong.
Shut up, Brain. I'll stab you with the Q-tip.
That's the first thing that's ever gone wrong. Anyways. Alright, now here's the part where we stop talking together, we start talking individually.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we talk about, speaking of Nintendo and all that, actually that's after this one. But, we all have a best and worst company. And which one of you is burning to talk about which company is bad and good?
Can we actually?
What?
I think it'd be better if we start with best company first.
No, I mean,
Yeah.
which one of you? It's all individual. You guys say
So
your
we
best.
can save worst company until, start the good news first, then go with the bad news.
Well, you guys,
I
are
might-
doing.
Who wants to go
each
first,
other.
actually?
Yeah, who wants to
I
go
might
first?
as well go first.
All right.
All right.
Okay. My best company for 2014 has to go to Platinum Games.
Nice.
Because they were really on a ball with delivering content this year.
Mm-hmm.
For three things. But, well, two of them are for Nintendo devices, the others are for multiplats. The two that were for Nintendo were for the original Bayonetta, which they worked alongside a developer called B-Tribe to get the Wii U port for to be packaged in alongside Bayonetta 2, which was the other one. And that was a contender for Game of the Year by many gaming websites and gaming award shows and that kind of stuff, like the Gaming Awards that happened back in December. That was a nominee. And probably the least impressive but okay at best, Legend of Korra, that came out on PSN, PS3, Xbox One, Xbox 360, and PC, or Steam for that matter. So it seemed like Platinum Games was actually getting out of doing like one game per year or whatever, and they actually started to get out more content instead of just being stuck with only one franchise or whatever. Well, even though Bayonetta 1 and 2 were from the same franchise, but it actually looked like they were actually getting more of their content out instead of just being stuck with only one to maybe a couple. Because back in 2013, there was the Wonderful 101 that came out in September, but you have to remember there was also Metal Gear Rising that came out. It was either in February or March. I'm thinking it was February of 2013, but yeah, it seems like Platinum Games managed to actually work out more after that. And I really applaud them because, for the most part, it shows that they are definitely one of the few third-party independent developers. Even though they work on big-budget games, they're one of the private or independent developers that actually knows how to deliver on content. But sad thing is, even though they deliver strong quality content, none of their games actually get bought out by the general public because they all want what is more popular. But when it comes to one of the most competent companies that knows how to make, release, and put in a lot of time and effort to make sure that their games are good, you guys are really missing out, man. So, yeah, Platinum Games, they are the best company of 2014, in my opinion. So, that's what I have to say about that. So, who's next?
I will go next. And this.
Wait, what? Are you going best?
Yeah, we're going best.
Yeah.
Right.
Because Jeff suggested we go best first, and then we go to worst. Because I think we all know who is the worst one that we can all talk about.
Oh, we all had it unanimous. That's right.
Yeah.
Yep. Uh-huh.
Right.
Yeah.
Should have told me before we recorded.
Sorry.
That way. All right.
Sorry. All right, man.
Go ahead.
But for my choice, and this is gonna sound really weird coming from me, I'm going to say Bethesda Softworks.
Okay.
Oh, sorry, my even my mouth can't comprehend. I just said that. You know what I mean?
So, give us your own take about Bethesda. Why you thought they actually did well this year?
I can't say for developer, but in regards to publisher, they released two phenomenal games this year. That one obviously did very well, and that was The Evil Within. And I'm
And that was
and the Wolfenstein: The New Order. I just had a freaking brain fart. I apologize.
and that was one of your what?
Spoilers.
Yeah. But anyways, Wolfenstein: New Order. Thank you very much.
Well, I can edit that to where I will actually put in a censor beep.
Yeah,
okay,
that works.
Perfect.
Whatever.
Perfect.
Go ahead.
But anyways, because of those two games, I can't say for developer because, and even for publisher too, it's work hard for me because I know Bethesda and especially their parent company ZeniMax has done a lot of crappy stuff over the years, but this year just releasing two great quality titles under their belt this year, I feel like in my eyes they deserve to be called best publisher. That's it. I just want to stand because I just can't believe those words just came out of my mouth. Anyways, Cows, what's yours?
All right, my top company of the year is Arc System Works,
and
I gotta remember they're different from Axis, even though Axis publishes Arc System Works.
They do.
Blaze Blue.
Yep.
But I remember because I mentioned, I was like, oh, this is from Axis. And they're like, no, you mean Arc System Works. I'm like, what do you mean? Like, we're Axis. We're different. We just publish, I think, Blaze Blue. And they were like, okay, geez, all right. Yeah, like, one of their employees actually yelled at me, like, on Twitter, like, okay. I didn't know you were...
Damn!
I didn't know you were trolling the Axis tag, but...
It's not your fault. You didn't know.
All right, well... Anyways, Arc System Works for putting out. They're the developer. They actually make the games. That is, 3 games came out this year. Guilty Gear Xrd, which is their latest, and actually was playing it yesterday.
Now I can understand why they wouldn't want to call it Guilty Gear XXX because many people will think it's a porno.
Yes.
No, because they probably think it'll be, instead of a porno, a hentai.
Same thing.
Yeah, true.
One's animated, one's not.
So that was actually kind of smart to call it Xrd.
So anyways, they do, they put out 3 games. They put out Xrd, they put out Persona 4 Arena Ultimax, which is a sequel to Persona 4 Arena, which came out the year before. Or even 2 years before. I don't remember when the first Persona 4 Arena came out. But anyways, Ultimax came out this year. And also earlier, Blaze Blue, Chrono Phantasma. All 3 really, really, really good fighting games. Like, top-notch with story mode and all these modes that even casual players can like. And, of course, a really deep system that the nerds like us can get into. Like, oh, the frame traps. And they also put out X-Blaze, but I tried it and then I took it back. Because I was like, I think I should buy this when it's much, 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 much cheaper.
I will say this, Guilty Gear Xrd, just looking at it, seems like it's a technical achievement in terms of the visual presentation, especially when it comes to the in-game character models.
It's really cool how they did that.
Yeah, because you don't know whether or not if they're actually just, hand drawn sprites or if they're just 3D models, but they actually blend them in together to make it seem like it is, it is the case for both sides.
Yeah, they're actually 3D models, but they've made them look like drawn sprites, which is just crazy.
Like I said, I'd say that would be
achievement.
a landmark technical achievement.
It's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all I gotta say. They release really good games. Not okay. Even though they're my best company, they're still not perfect. I will want to mention that. In case you go,
of course.
They did do on XR something that I don't like, which is characters that are already on the disc being sold as DLC.
Yeah.
Leo Whitefang. Looking at you.
It's like with my choice for best company too. It's like what I chose with. They did a lot of cruddy stuff over the years too. But but this year they did a better job.
Yeah. It's like they did good. That's why they're my best. But just in case you guys think, he's just sucking
right.
up. I'm like, nope.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying they're good. I'm not saying they're great. I'm not saying they're perfect.
Right.
So
okay.
That's all for me.
So I think it's time for us to talk about the worst company of last year, and I think we all came at a unanimous decision on who it actually was. And that one company that we all thought was the worst in 2014 was Ubisoft.
No, Ubisoft.
No, Ubisoft.
Yep.
Or like the Nintendo fanboys like to say, Ubi, you know what?
Oh yeah. You know what's something funny? Going back to Arc System Works, I just found this out. I did not know this. Arc System Works made 2 Dragon Ball Z games.
They did?
Huh.
I did not know that.
I did not know that.
The Supersonic Warrior series was them.
Wow.
Oh yes.
I did not know that.
You're talking about on the Game Boy Advance and DS, right?
Yep. Which I had the DS one too. I don't even remember that.
Wow.
Anyways, go back to Ubisoft. I just found out some funny trivia.
No, good. You're saving us time before we rip this new one in straight.
Yeah.
Rightfully so. Don't get me wrong, but Ubisoft. The reason why I called them the worst and why we became unanimous, for my reasons being, it's not really with Nintendo, but I can understand that fan base being annoyed.
Mm-hmm.
Granted, it made sense for our business decision. My problem is with how much they screwed over the PC users. Because if you thought their abysmal launch of Assassin's Creed Unity on both Xbox One and PS4 was bad, you have yet to see the PC releases they did for most of their games this year.
Nightmare feel some of those bugs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially how much they downgraded the graphics and just the specs in general for Watch Dogs.
Speaking of Watch Dogs, it pretty much did not live up to the hype in a lot of people's eyes. And that was one of the things that was very disappointing about the game in general, was that it was they hyped the hell out of it in 2012 at E3, but then it came out in 2014. Now it's just an average game.
Yeah, it wasn't even Chicago. They were saying the loop is there, but there's stuff in there that's not in the real Chicago or that felt like Chicago, and I'm just like, having lived there, I'm like, what?
It's just a generic slice of Americana. It's not real Chicago.
Like, somebody else said that, and somebody said they could have just called it Any Town USA, really. Like, they could have even made up a town,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And speaking of, going back to the whole thing about what Ubisoft said about their games being on Nintendo, while I do admit that it was, what they said was true because of business decisions, but I think the biggest fault that came out of Ubisoft's part was that they weren't being honest and trying to explain why that was the case.
Yeah, but in all fairness, you could say that with all the decisions this year.
Well, I know that.
But I do get where you're coming from, yes.
Yes, because it just I've watched some people's take about the whole thing, but I can't help but feel that they were actually being right on one thing: is that Yves Guillemot was being totally dishonest.
I mean,
as he really should have been more open to, explain why that was the case. But even though even though he says that Ubisoft won't produce any more games for Nintendo in the future, as of right now, but he said there is always a chance for in the foreseeable future. But then again, look how much, look how crappy Watch Dogs sold on the Wii U, and
true.
Look how technically inferior it was.
Not only that, but when you look at the sales of each game from these third parties, EA, I personally think, did a better job of releasing their games on Nintendo's platform than Ubisoft did.
Mm-hmm.
At least I think. I mean, Ubisoft did try, don't get me wrong, but EA did a way better job. And I hate when people bring up this, but what about that unprecedented partnership they promised years ago? That was the thing. That was years ago. Like, this is the thing that annoys me with gamers. They don't understand what makes sense for them as a consumer and what makes sense for business. Mm-hmm. I'm just going to leave it at that, but yeah, Ubisoft was way worse this year.
But if there was one game that they actually managed to get right, that actually did sell well on the Wii U for them, was Rayman Legends.
Oh, yeah.
That one, from what I gathered, that was actually the most sold version out of everything else because of what they were originally envisioning, what Michael Ansel was originally envisioning for that game when it came to the control scheme and the gamepad and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But when talking about them last year, yeah, the whole thing with Watch Dogs was bad, and and especially when it came to Assassin's Creed Unity, and when they had Assassin's Creed Rogue release, Rogue actually did better technically than Assassin's Creed Unity. Assassin's Creed Unity just ended up being a clusterfuck of glitches and bugs.
None of that, but the funny thing you bring up with Watch Dogs too, I don't know if it was in also the home console versions, but with the PC version, if you went into the game's actual folder, you can actually find the E3 2013 folder still inside the released version.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, the vertical slice that was used, yeah, the engine plus the renders of said vertical slice is still in the game.
Yeah, that's the surprising thing that hackers managed to, and PC modders actually managed to find, and they actually placed that mod into the engine of the PC version, and they enjoy the crap out of it.
But see, that's the thing that, as much as I love Obsidian, that's the thing that really pisses me off that company, that Ubisoft did. They're expecting their PC users to finish up the game for them, unlike they should themselves.
Mm-hmm.
It's just lazy and poor. It's just lazy and poor coding, but it's supposedly the best game, one of the best games of this year.
I thought when you said lazy and poor, I immediately thought of Sylvester Stallone going, "You got greedy and lazy."
Pretty much.
Yeah. Greedy and lazy.
It's funny, that is Ubisoft in a nutshell. And before I said, but that's EA. No. I hate and get sick and tired of saying, like, oh, good guy EA once again. It's like, look, they've done some stupid crap, I'll admit that. But I always will say this, and I will say this in an instance. I'm not defending EA, but I would gladly say that I think personally, not only this company we're talking about right now, but also Activision and another one we're going to talk about in the future in regards to this episode. I think those three are worse compared to EA.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. EA may not be great, but boy, I mean, at least stuff works.
EA is stingy. They're not stubborn or arrogant.
Yeah.
And speaking of which, with their most recent RPG that they brought about in, was it November or December?
Yeah, November.
Yeah, November. It actually shows that it kind of actually made me a believer that they are a pretty prominent publisher once more.
No, that, but this particular RPG, with the last one being one of the worst travesties I've played. Yeah, it shows that if they take their time, they can still make a phenomenal product. Mm-hmm. Something that you should take ahead, Sega. And
Hashimoto.
Enix. But yeah, enjoy your PlayStation experience!
Oh, we'll get to them.
Oh yeah, we will.
We'll get to them shortly.
Oh, as for are you
Please
done?
be excited, listeners.
Are you done or?
Yes, I am.
As for me, my whole thing with them is them being greedy and lazy. I mean,
Yep.
they don't even check these bugs. What is their QA testing non-existent? I guess it is.
Do they even have a QA test?
That's what I meant. They're non-existent. Like, do they even
Exactly.
have, like, because these bugs, these releases, not even no company would do that except you. Like, and they're supposed to be a big
Except
company.
you, yeah.
And what's even strange is that Assassin's Creed Unity was in development for 4 years.
I know.
God.
But still, it's riddled with a lot of bugs and glitches, where you see a lot of people's heads being open to where you can only see their eyes and Joker teeth.
I know, but the sad thing about
That's what
that
I
game,
meant by nightmare fuel glitch.
Exactly. But the sad irony of that particular engine that's utilized in Assassin's Creed Unity, the backdrops are so beautiful. They almost look realistic to a point.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's sad they put more detail into the freaking buildings of Paris than the models themselves.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, my problems, like, once again, I can understand why people are pissed with Nintendo to, not at Nintendo, but in regards to their partnership with Nintendo to a degree, but my problems are with what they've done more so than that, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that obviously we can all agree that Assassin's Creed Unity was rushed to the market for the holiday season. That's why it did so well, and Ubisoft was trying to be apologetic and saying we're going to be releasing numerous patches and updates to make sure that it will be technically stable. That's like, yeah, but there is this thing called sensationalism. Like, if something goes wrong within a game's launch, it doesn't matter if you have good things that are going to come out for it later on down the road. A lot of the general public are going to cover like the bad launch to death, and they're not even going to give the product a second chance. I mean, lots of competent gamers like myself and all of us, and you, Jeff, and you, Jerry. Mm-hmm. We probably will give it a chance in the future once it's all fixed up. Or for the average and so people, no, they're not going to touch it again. Even the casuals, they'll be really disappointed, and they're probably still disappointed with what they got this holiday season.
To play devil's advocate, I think this will be the final nail in the coffin, supposedly for the franchise too. Because here's the thing: what happened in November of last year? I'm talking about regards to November of 2013 when both consoles launched. We got Battlefield 4, or the fan base of Battlefield would like to call Broken Field 4, rightfully so.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yes, like I just said right now about EA, that was one thing that they did. They did the wrong thing to do and rushed Battlefield 4 out to market.
Yep.
I mean, we can all agree, no company is perfect.
Mm-hmm.
None is. But you need to decide what the right thing is to do for a company and what not to do in regards to business decisions.
Exactly.
But yeah, Ubisoft, excluding the whole issue of Nintendo and their fan base, because personally, I can take that as for what it is, because it was bound to happen. We could see the writing on the wall to some degree. Mm-hmm. But the other things that they did personally with their consumers in regards to their IPs, I thought that was an even bigger issue that they did in regards to, besides that, you know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
And I can tell you, as a company, I do not have faith in them, to be honest, with their other franchises, like especially with the Tom Clancy IPs, mind you.
Yep, especially with the Division coming out this year.
No, that, but also with Splinter Cell.
And Rainbow Six. The new Rainbow Six.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about, Siege, yeah. Mm-hmm. Any final thoughts, Jerry, before we move on?
Ubisoft, get good.
It's not Ubisoft anymore. It's Ubi Hard. Anyway, should we go to the 180 or should we talk about the troll of 2014?
Well, let's merge them.
Okay.
Which one first?
Perfect.
Let's start with the 180 before we talk about the troll.
Now, this one, we had our personal list, but they just happened to be, like with Ubisoft, just happened to be the same.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So what is this 180? Which companies did this? One more than the other, obviously, but...
I would say the person or the company that did the best 180 was Nintendo, even though we kind of briefly hinted at it when we talked about talking about the news. But it's just what they did after not only Mario Kart 8's launch, but by around the time when their E3 digital event came about, when they showed off games as well as content and that kind of stuff, and especially the amiibos and all that other stuff through their presentation. Yeah, that was really impressive. That actually made me more of a believer in the Wii U, saying that Nintendo does look like they still have a strong leg to actually make it a really big hit, and they kind of have been doing that just recently, especially when it comes to Smash Brothers, Bayonetta 2, Hyrule Warriors.
I was just gonna bring that up, that how the games they hyped up actually live up to the hype.
Oh, they do.
Thank you. Yes.
And it's just when looking at Nintendo, I mean, just looking at the games that they put out this year, like Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze, Mario Kart 8, Hyrule Warriors, Bayonetta 2, Smash Brothers, and Captain Toad, you can actually see that there is a lot of quality in those products, and they are still a pretty competent developer that a lot of their competition and third-party companies really need to take notes.
Like, if there's one thing I can say that, like we were talking about earlier in regards to the Wii U, like it was struggling really hard for the last 2.5 years. But the reason why I agree with you guys with the complete 180 that Nintendo did this year and why they deserved this title was the fact of finally having the content that needed for the system. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like what we got this year in regards to Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze, with Hyrule Warriors, with Mario Kart 8, with all these titles that came out and did phenomenal, granted of the niche fan base that Nintendo has, this was the content that the system desperately need. Not only it was the content that it would sell the units, but more importantly, it's one thing that Nintendo needed for years in regards to their systems: diversity.
Mm-hmm. Especially when it came to like Hyrule Warriors and Bayonetta 2, and especially when it came to the overall demographics, for that matter.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Because that was something that they needed desperately for quite a long time, that they kind of left out on ever since they released Eternal Darkness and Geist on the GameCube.
And that's the sad thing too, because we look way back when, like, the last system that they did this was with the GameCube, and that was like what? That was released in 2001. That's
14 years ago.
That is, I hate to say this, but that's disgusting when you think about it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad that this company got, like, honestly, this is the first year in a very long time. I can't say about you guys, but as a gamer for me, this is Nintendo's first year of delivering content in a long, long time. Because the thing is, they did think about their fan base, but they did something even better. They thought about the core gamer.
And speaking of which, that next core game that's releasing exclusively under their belts is actually Tomonobu Itagaki's own Devil's Third for the Wii U for this year.
Yeah, no kidding. That's the thing that I was shocked too, which I'm surprised we didn't bring up in regards to news, because that was big news during E3. But we did kind of talk about it in regards to Nintendo's presser. But yeah, who imagined a game designed by Tomonobu Itagaki of the revived Ninja Gaiden series fame, and of course Dead or Alive, especially the popular Extreme Beach Volleyball spin-offs.
Yeah.
But in all seriousness, who expected him to be developing a game for, of all people, Nintendo?
and he's actually been they've actually been getting along pretty well in terms of the development process.
If there's one, and this is the reason why I'm glad Nintendo has been having a phenomenal year this year. Granted, they still have their hurdles, and not only with the Wii U, but just as a company in general. But I'm glad because they're finally showing consumers that they're trying to get rid of this stigma they've been having for years. How long? Let's say since, I like to say, around the Super NES and 64 era of them being a kiddie company. Because let's face facts, that does hurt a company if you have that stigma and not taking care of it for a long time. However, they as a company, they have been working on it. I can give them that benefit of the doubt at least.
Of course. But yeah, I agree with you, Jeff. They still have a lot of hurdles that they need to get through. I mean, that they need to get through, but I definitely applaud them for actually improving as a company throughout the whole year, and just for them doing more right than wrong in quite a long time. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, definitely. Any say, Cows?
Yeah, definitely, Jerry. What do you think?
Man, the thing is, I'm hearing you guys talk, and I'm just like, I had nothing to add.
Because we're basically taking every word you were about to say, and we were saying it just right there. Of course, yeah. But it's true. Like we have our preferences. Like Kyle right here, he's more of the Nintendo guy, but he's not a diehard fanboy of the company.
No,
I'm more between of Microsoft, Sony, and a PC user. I'm a gamer in general, but from what they've shown me, they're finally. I don't think they finally got it, but they're starting to get it at least. And Jerry, he's more of a Sony guy, yes, but we can all agree that they need to work on it more. But it's a start, a phenomenal start to this company that they should be doing for the last decade.
Nintendo's got me excited again, you know? Like, there you go.
That's the reason why I can't say that they won E3. They did a phenomenal job at E3, but the reason why they did such a great job this year is they pleased consumers in general, not the casuals like they did in Wii, and they kind of did with the Wii U, because they were going for this weird audience, like, oh, let's please all of them, let's please both companies. I mean, both sides. They're going for the core demographic. You know, the people that they don't care about Nintendo. They do, but not for their quirky nature. They care more for the IPs, but they would rather play on the other competition side. They're going for them too. They're going for gamers in general, which I like.
They need to do.
They need to, yeah.
Yeah.
This is a start.
It seemed like they were just going for this one market,
which was their fan base, which I hate to say, but compared to the other two, is very niche. I can't say small, but it is a niche side of the gaming spectrum. That being said, what they're doing, I have to applaud because, granted, like we just said, they do have a lot of hurdles ahead of them, but this is a very nice stop, and I hope they continue forward into this year, next year, and whenever they finally unveil their next-gen console.
Now, as for the other company, not as big as Nintendo, but the reason they're almost like an honorable mention for a 180.
Exactly, yes.
Jeff, go ahead. Explain what they did and how they even got me to go, all right, you guys aren't bad.
The company we're talking about, of course, is Microsoft. Yes, the company that I was pissed off last year, regards to 2013, with what they were entitled to do with the Xbox One. Now, mind you, yes, I was pissed off at the start of things, but as I thought about it, it's just like, you know what? All right. That's their idea. That's their plan. That's their goal of what they want to do. Let them. At least it's something different. However, when they changed their ideas, like, okay, a little backwards, but still best for the consumer. It wasn't until I heard the news that made me go, okay, these are the wheels that should be turning inside of this company. And that was let's all face facts. I feel like he was fired. These two people. Don Matrick and, of course, now new owner of LA Clippers, Steve Ballmer.
Yeah. His calling, really.
Yeah, exactly. But him,
Sports game.
but
Sports team,
but
sorry.
Don Metric being fired or like a whatever from Microsoft, and incoming Phil Spencer, who was the former head of third-party development for Microsoft, now going up to be the actual head of the actual. Is it a spin-off or is it an actual division? Because I think the Xbox is an actual division inside of Microsoft.
It's a division now. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Officially, it's a division.
It's officially a division of Microsoft now.
Okay. Of course, but yes, he is the head of the division, and ever since then, it feel like okay, I hope the creative wheels are once again starting to go. You know what I mean? And from what we saw at E3, it's starting to. I can't say it's fully there yet, but what they showed with content like from Remedy like how Jerry feels about with Naughty Dog. I feel the same way in regards to Remedy with Microsoft. They're my favorite developer in that on that side. With what they showed with the exclusive of Quantum Break, which is coming out this year, with what they showed of Sunset Overdrive, and a exclusive that not only myself but Jerry was the one that said, "Okay, I did not see that happening." Actually, all of us was Phantom Dust.
Well, for me personally, I was kind of raising eyebrows when I saw Platinum Games make an appearance with Hideki Kamiya directing his new game Scalebound for the Xbox One. I was like, okay, looks like this is actually a good step for Microsoft wanting to bring in more Japanese support instead of just it being considered just a Western system.
Which, mind you, to clarify, isn't a bad thing either, because it did make a big resurgence on our end. But it'd be nice. It's nice to have a diversified taste in regards to games.
Yeah, but from all sides.
That's what I'm getting at. Yes.
Yeah. And and like I said, I was very happy to know that. Was happy to see that. Looks like Microsoft or Phil Spencer actually wants to make that a reality. Especially when he came up to Rare and said, "Guys, we're doing things differently. We want to see how the Rare with how they used to be back then," and that actually gets me very excited with what their new game's going to be.
And I'm glad that image is starting to be shown at that company, because if there's one thing that annoyed me ever since Microsoft bought them, people always put the blame on Microsoft, when in fact, if they ever looked at the actual detailed history of the company itself, it was inside the studio itself of how crazy hours they were worked to begin with. Mm-hmm. And mind you, this is going way back to the glory days on the N64 when they were still with Nintendo.
Yeah.
It wasn't Nintendo that screwed them over. It wasn't Microsoft that screwed them over. It was Rare that screwed themselves over.
They were getting too ambitious.
Yeah. The only person I could say that I know has a bad taste in regards to the old cloth of Microsoft was Chris Sever, who was known as not only the creator of Conquer, but also the voice of Conquer. Mm-hmm. And if you guys saw his Twitter during the E3 presser, he actually likes Phil Spencer more than the original head, which was Don Mattrick, which, mind you, if he likes Phil more, I'm kind of curious why he didn't like Don to begin with, you know what I mean?
I think it was Don's decision about Conquer Live and Reloaded.
Oh yeah, because of the censorship, which is weird, because of all things, the Nintendo 64 original didn't have censorship whatever. It did, but not that crazy detail of censorship compared to the Xbox original and remake that did. Mm-hmm. But yeah, if someone like that who had disdain taste against the original head that likes the new one better, in my eyes, that shows how much Microsoft is really gearing up to making their platform a better choice in general. Because I feel like Microsoft, like how we just talked about Nintendo, feeling like they want to get rid of that cloth they had of it being a kiddie company.
Yeah, I'm
feeling with this choice of what they did this year. Granted, they didn't do as great as Nintendo, but they did good for them. Well, I mean Microsoft themselves. Mm-hmm. I feel they want to get rid of that extreme dude bro image that they've been having for the last almost decade. And yes, it's almost going to be a decade when the Xbox 360 was launched. Think about that.
Yeah, this year. This November.
Oh yeah, jeez.
Mm-hmm.
But that being said, like I just said, and you guys agree, they didn't do as great as Nintendo, but like for Nintendo, for them as a company, it was a start, and a positive one nevertheless.
Of course.
Any say, Jerry?
Well, heck, they got me to the point where I actually want to buy an Xbox One down the line.
Me too.
Yeah.
And have all 3 systems.
Yeah.
Because I was telling Jeff, did you tell them? I don't, if in case I spaced out, what?
I think I didn't. Just clarify again.
And I'll say when my cousin came over and brought his Xbox One and let me play it at my house, and I had all 3 systems next to each other, and I'm like, well, I wouldn't mind having all 3.
It was kind of like the same thing what happened to myself when I brought my Wii U over your house
exactly.
when it first launched. Like,
and now I have a Wii U, so...
yeah, people don't realize that, first impression always is always the key, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you screw up, and Microsoft did, just by their unclarified message and what they really want to do with the console, that really hurt them in 2013, and let's face facts, this year until E3, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, I mean this year, I mean last year, 2014. But yeah, like, I think Microsoft did great, but Nintendo did a better job.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so, should we talk about the troll of 2014?
Yes!
Oh, yes!
So some backstory. Now, Double R, did you watch PlayStation Experience as well? Like, as it was happening?
I didn't watch...
No, you were at work.
Yes,
yeah, I was at work.
But I did.
Yeah, you did, Jeff.
But I actually did watch Maximilian Dude's reaction.
Oh, God!
Well, anyway, so Jeff, since you watched it like I did live, give us the setup. It was PlayStation Experience.
Yes, it's PlayStation Experience, and
what happened?
And out comes Shinji Hashimoto, who is, if I recall correctly, he's the current CEO of Square Enix.
No, he's not current CEO. He's actually one of the head producers within the company, or one of the head corporate executives of the company.
Okay, thank you for clarifying that.
Mm-hmm.
He came out, and right behind him was shown an image of Final Fantasy VII. Now, to clarify, I am not the biggest fan of Final Fantasy VII, nor I can't say for Jerry. I can't say for Delmar.
Well, it's it's one of the entries that I like. It's amongst my top 5 favorite games in the franchise.
Right, I can understand that too. My problem is with me, and I can say for Jerry, it's not the game itself; it's the rabid fan base that say it's the best RPG ever made.
That's true.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now, let me clarify what happened that made me even feel bad for that rabid fan base to begin with. Yes, I felt bad for the fan base. Think about that, what I'm about to say.
Yeah, sinking in, haters.
Yes. So Hashimoto came out. Right behind him, they showed an image of the Final Fantasy VII logo. Everyone in the auditorium, the room that they were hosting the event, they went crazy.
They were pooing their pants. Literally.
No kidding. Yeah, no kidding. Until they showed the trailer. Yes, they are releasing Final Fantasy VII for PS4. But it's not the remake or HD remake, therefore, that people have been clamoring for since 2004.
5.
Around the range of 2004 to 2006.
Yeah, I guess.
What it was a re-release of of the original game from 1997. yes, they did nothing more than just port the recently added Steam port to the PS4
with upscale graphics.
1080p.
And it's the vanilla version, not the original.
Oh, and it gets even better. While the cheapest venue for Final Fantasy VII is on the PlayStation Network for PS Vita, PSP, and PS3, and while the Steam version I just mentioned is $12.99 on the Steam store,
right?
You want to know how psychotic Square Enix truly is these days?
Oh God, they're charging
sell...
at 30.
No, it's not that bad.
Oh, 16?
Yes.
Oh yeah, I forgot. It was $16 they're charging for it.
They're selling an 18-year-old game on a current platform. They could easily, and I'm not even joking, they could easily code and do a phenomenal HD remake. If you don't believe me, just take a look at the current HD remaster for Wind Waker. It's not that hard.
No.
Or even the fans that they did it themselves, they did an even better job too recently. But they're selling an 18-year-old game on a current gen platform for $16. I tell you, the reason why they're doing this, and I know why they're doing this, because they want that proof that these fans want a remake. They're going to come out and say, oh, if you don't buy it, we're not going to do a remake. In other words, pull a Capcom.
Like what Capcom did to Darkstalkers, how it held it hostage.
I wish the freaking disappointment that these fans had when they found out it wasn't a remake was proof enough that they wanted one, but
Not that, but the countless, paraphernalia they bought based on Final Fantasy VII, like Adventure,
the movies and
that sold like freaking gangbusters, but that doesn't prove them. Or how about Crisis Core for the PlayStation Portable, which, mind you, still isn't having a re-release on PlayStation Network.
Even I bought that one.
I bought that one too,
exactly.
And that game sold 3 million copies. It sold well commercially.
For a system that people say wasn't so... It sells so well. Like,
I know!
Does that prove that right there?
Apparently not to. And not only that, but they even made one of the worst games I played on the PlayStation 2's library, George of Cerberus, a bestseller.
You mean Derp of Cerberus?
Exactly, yeah, Derp of Cerberus, but still... They made that a bestseller, and that alone cannot even let Square Enix recognize that they really want a remake.
I know, right?
Like I said before, I am not the biggest fan of the game. My favorite, and it's an underrated one for PlayStation 1 era, is 9. That gets no love, it gets no talk, and it really disgusts me. But as much as I dislike 7, not because of what it is, but because of its rabid fans, because it was their first RPG, as much as I do, I felt heartbroken for them because of how much Square Enix was literally giving the finger to them. Like, it was so bad, it was basically a repeat like what Capcom did to Mega Man fans a couple years back in canceling Legends 3.
And Universe.
Yeah, but especially Legends, because
of course.
How many people have waited for that game for? A decade. But that's what I'm saying, it's just like, it's in... But here's the thing, I don't know which one's worse. If Capcom was worse, or Square Enix was worse, so I feel like it's in the same plethora of PS, to be honest.
And I have to agree with Maximilian Dude on this, that the announcement of the PS4 port of Final Fantasy VII was nothing new. It's like, why would you give someone like Shinji Hashimoto or Square Enix stage time at the PlayStation Experience if it was nothing new?
Hey, I can buy it right now on my Vita.
Yeah. It's just, Square Enix, even though I am looking forward to Final Fantasy Type 0, and potentially maybe even Final Fantasy 15 if that does get a release this year, which is probably not likely. But if you say because of how well Bravely Default has sold in the West that you're going to reevaluate your JRPGs for the Western market, that what you did right there during the PlayStation experience, that is not a good sign.
No, it's not.
You're going back
like the final nail in the coffin for the franchise with doing something like that.
Yeah, you are basically doing what Yoichi Wada has been doing for quite a long time.
Mm-hmm.
You don't give a crap about your games. You only wish to capitalize on the Western market, which is all right, but you still have to have your own games too. You can't be stuck on Tomb Raider or even, some of those others that get released under your name. You have to have your own, band of content.
Yeah, but it's funny thing you bring up Tomb Raider, because this is the same company that, while Tomb Raider did phenomenal, as well as the recent release of Hitman with regards to Absolution, which I was not a huge fan of.
Uh-huh.
And Sleeping Dogs, all three games, while they did phenomenally both critically and sale-wise, Square Enix, I remember as clear as day, came out and said they did poorly, so they solely poured. They poured solely in regards to the expectations.
You mean
all three games?
Did you just say sorely poured?
Yeah, I did that first.
Oh, okay.
Yes, I did.
Sold poorly.
Sold poorly, yes.
Happens to the best of us.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
But it's just like, this is the same company that said that those three games I listed sold poorly in regards to expectations. Their expectations. Like, as much as I get pissed off at Capcom, as much as I get disgusted at the crap that we just said about Ubisoft, and they are still the worst publisher this year, I really do think Ubisoft I really do think that Activision, I'm going to say it once again, I think Activision, Ubisoft, and the company we're just talking about right now, Square Enix, are really neck and neck. They really equate each other out as the worst publishers. Along with Bethesda, which, mind you, I just lost praise for being one of the best publishers this year from my own mouth, mind you.
Mm-hmm. But Square Enix, you can say all you want, but you know for damn well how out of touch you are with your consumers, your fan base, and reality.
Mm-hmm. Especially reality.
Who in the hell thought it was a good idea to make a game for mobile devices called Final Fantasy All the Bravest?
Well, we all know how we all know how the reaction was, because we could hear the constant boos in the audience during the event live.
Yeah.
So, Jerry, what was your reaction? Since, like me, you watched it live too.
Yeah. Oh God. Oh, even I don't even like the game, and I don't hate it. But I don't.
You're like me. How I am with Ace. Ace your favorite, but I like it for it's. I think it's all right. It's not my favorite. It's good for what it is.
Yeah,
mm-hmm.
That's how you feel with 7. Yes.
But even I was like, almost heartbroken.
I
to
know.
hear that, especially hearing basically this is what he said. We are proud to announce Final Fantasy VII exclusivity available for PlayStation 4.
And just those words alone, you saw the
audience
exuberance that the audience was throwing.
Mm-hmm.
I've never seen an audience that happy before in a long time. Until they saw the trailer, because they went from exuberance to pissed off. Like, I thought they were going to start throwing crap.
Speaking of, I remember watching that trailer and going, okay, they're going to show the old graphics and then show the new graphics, right?
Right.
And then, they catch the old graphics, I'm like, oh.
It's like, it really sucks in. It's like, oh, no. No! They can't be that stupid. They're that stupid.
And there you go. So basically, big heartbreaking disappointment. There you go, trolling me, and I don't even care about the game.
What they basically did to the fan base, they literally ripped their hearts out, threw it on the floor, and just curb stomped it.
Yeah. And that's all I gotta say about that, because, boy, wow, this might be 3 parts. That's fine with me, though. We've been gone a long time.
Well, not that, but 2014 in a year itself.
Well, it's a whole freaking year. Yeah.
Was definitely something of a year.
We're talking about a whole freaking year here, so.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, that's all I got. So, actually, did Double R, you already spoke about it too, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Pretty much. I'm just as discontent as you are, guys.